Today is February 24th, and I'm here calling this meeting of the Library Board of Control of Lincoln Parish Library to order. May I have a motion, please, if you don't mind, for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Second. Thank you. Moving properly second. Discussion? None. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion approved. Public comments. Do we have anybody from the public to give comments today? I don't know who that person is sitting back there. Nobody from the public. What a large audience we have today from the public. Okay. Our next item on the agenda is the election of officers. And I have asked Richard if he will be able to be responsible for that part of it.
You want me to?
Yes, you're the person.
I'm going to make a motion.
We only president?
Okay, the floor is open for nomination for president.
Yes.
I nominate Mary Jo.
I nominate, or especially with us going into what bigger experience.
Well, okay. My nomination, can I make commentary on my nomination?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then we'll, okay, yeah, and then everybody can discuss it. I would nominate because of kind of the interesting nature of where we are right now with a lot of the tax elections and director search. I think that we should maintain Dr. Clark as our president at this time for this year. And I don't know how we normally do our election of officers, if it's each year or every 2 years, but I would say that my nomination would be for Dr. Clark to continue for this year.
Okay, is that possible?
Every year.
Okay,
Each year.
I agree. I agree.
Wait, I got 3 nominations.
Okay, so.
Any more nominations?
As an applicant, your number of years, Dr. Clark? Can you serve another year?
Yes, you can.
I thought your term was up, I'm sorry. Then I will withdraw my nomination.
Okay, you withdraws his nomination.
And I also.
Okay, so we have Dr. Clark as the nominee. Do I have a motion that the nomination cease and she be elected by acclamation?
So moved.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Dr. Clark, you back to preside.
Thank you. Thank you. Would you want to go for the second part for the vice president?
Can we do that too? Now, the floor is open for nomination for vice president.
I nominate Amy Miller.
Amy Miller, any more nominations? If not, do I hear a motion that we close the nominations and elect Amy
So
Miller?
moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Am I through then?
That's it. Thank you so much. And thank you for your vote of confidence in terms of trying to elect me to get through another year. And I give my dedication to you that we are in this for the fight. We're going to come from the beginning and go to the end. And I think we're going to be successful this time around. And that's what I'm hoping for. Okay? All right, we have several things to go through today. Item number 5, the board membership. Sandra Dupree's, take this down, is that all right?
Thank you.
Sandra Dupree's membership expires at the end of this month. She did write a letter to me, and I want to send a copy of the letter indicating her desire to want to serve back on the board again in view of the fact that we are trying to do several things. Number 1, get a permanent director, and number 2, try to pass a vote. And it's with that I took the liberties to kind of say to you, let me have some discussions on that, because I would like to make a kind of a comment after that. She's not here today because she's having eye surgery, okay? But she did say that she wants to serve back on the board for another term. May I have some discussions, please? What is your feeling?
I think Sandra is a valuable member of our board. She brings a lot of knowledge to our meetings, and she is always willing to serve. And I would like to see her return.
Charles?
I agree. She's been faithful. She's served. She's been to meetings. I think she's a good member, so I agree.
And she offers good information,
Very
she
good, okay.
participates.
So am I taking that as a form of a motion for first?
Now,
Or
what
second?
is the motion going to say?
That we, make the recommendation to the police jury that Sandra, the incumbent, remain on the board.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Move and probably second. All in favor? Well, discussions before? All in favor?
Do we want to, I guess my discussion, my comment would just be, do we want to, I mean, they're gonna have to still accept applications for the open position. Do we want to wait and see what those people are? I think Sandra's a great member, I'm sure that I will agree, but do we want to see what those, I think they have to, the police jury has to like advertise or publish if there is this opening. I think they have to allow people to apply for it. So do we want to make our recommendation once we know who the applicants are?
Well, I see Doug Postel back there sitting, but I also see Mr. Richard sitting up here. What's your opinion, Richard?
I think you can make the recommendation anytime you want to.
You can make a recommendation, Johnny. That's correct. The police jury will announce the vacancy at the March meeting, and then we will make the recommendation at the April meeting.
Okay.
So our term expires at the end of this month.
At the end of this month, their term expires.
So there'll be a lag in there.
Yep.
For
Sounds
about
good.
a month?
Yeah, and typically what has happened in the past is the director has, given us some heads up that we've got one coming, an opening coming, or a term that's about to expire, and since the director's not here, that didn't happen. Well, I take responsibility for that we have a lag here though, the president can do whatever he wants to do. We want to put this on the rush and do it all in one sweep, but I do think we do have to announce the opening at least a month ahead.
I think that's a fair and proper.
I think you need to go ahead and make the recommendation. And then we can go, let the jury go from there.
Well, in that case, and I think we've already voted, and I will definitely give the letter to Doug.
Did we vote?
I did not vote.
We didn't
Oh, we
vote.
didn't vote, I'm sorry. Okay, all in favor? Opposes, nay? Okay.
I would abstain just because I would want to see if there were any other applicants. Not trying to be difficult, just want to make it clear.
Thank you, okay.
But the motion carries.
I do have one request.
Yes, sir?
Those of us who read lips as part of hearing
Yes?
I need to ask someone to speak up or remove your mask.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are far enough apart, so we can probably do that. But I was saying that I would abstain just because I would want to see who else applied for that open position before I make that decision. I certainly think it would be probably Sandra, but I would want to see that. But the motion carries nevertheless.
Thank you very much. So Doug, you will receive a letter coming from me.
Can I ask another question
Sure.
regarding vacancies? Don't we have another vacancy coming up the following month that we need to go ahead and start that process through the police jury?
We have a vacancy that's coming up in April.
So could we need to go ahead and
I'll verify our list, and then we'll go ahead and start that process.
start that process so we won't get the $9?
Thank you, I appreciate that. Okay,
Who's this for everybody's information?
it's,
Me,
Oh, okay.
Dr. Holloman.
Okay.
okay. Next item on the agenda is discussion on the library director search. Amy, you are up.
Okay, so I will make this brief as I've given everyone. If you don't have a copy, I have one more in front of me. I made a memorandum basically to address to the board from me, dated today, just with a kind of a report on the director search. What I start out with an opening is saying that as we discussed at our prior meeting, we think that, it may be premature right now to open applications for this position, that we will likely want to consider waiting until we have our tax renewal approved, which would hopefully and ideally be in, I believe, October. Now, if we make a change on that decision, we can consider that, and I don't think that's a firm decision that we will not open applications until October, but that's kind of generally what we touched on at the last meeting. If we're going to do that, in the meantime, we can still consider what salary are we going to offer for this position, finalize a job description for this position, and compile a list of all the places and resources where we will post and advertise for this position. So I've provided you kind of an update with my status on those activities so far. For salary, I've done a little bit of research on that. There's nothing in here that is a firm opinion about what we should offer, but I've given you some information for everyone to consider, and also for our finance committee, our newly formed finance committee, to consider in calculating our, our millage amount that we're going to request on this new ballot, which I don't think we have decided yet. I've also gotten the most recent job description for the director. I obtained that from Ms. Mason. Thank you for supplying that. And I put on here to asking the board members, please review this and provide me with your suggestions about maybe things we need to change or add. I'm going to do some of my own research along with Jan. We're going to go look at other parishes' job descriptions for their directors to the extent we can get our hands on those and kind of compare some notes there as well. So that's in the works. And then I've started with a very basic list, a working list for job postings. We will post it at the state library. We can post it. The parish police jury has a job opening website. The ALA has a job list website, and there's also a Library and Information Technology Association that has a job site as well. That's kind of still through the ALA. As I find other resources, I'll be adding it to this. If you see or you know of other resources where we need to post or advertise for this, let me know and we'll keep this list updated. And at the end of my memo, I put some other comments on examination certification. I put some information in here that I got from the state library on when those exams are offered and an updated copy of the certification requirements. I also put in your packet here with my memo the spring 2021 training schedule from the state library in case you wanted to look at that. There's some great little courses. I signed up for one of the webinars that was, what is it called? I signed up for dealing with angry patrons. So that might be an interesting one. I paid for that myself. I mean, it's only $15 per participant. So I think that if you see anything you want to take, you should look into it. If it says that the registration is full online, email them because it says that they're full for like all of them. So I just emailed them and then they gave me a spot. Okay, but the reason why I attached it related to the director is that they have a new director's boot camp. So that's something that you might want to consider next year. Be looking at that state training that comes out because we may have a new director that we would want to send to that kind of training. It's not very expensive. That may be something even that we typically send our directors to. I don't know, but just a little FYI.
Well, I'd like to say I'm very pleased with the reports that we have received from both you and Jan. I think with the two.
Yes.
This is very thorough. You will give us some chances to peruse it.
Yes.
Do you want us to kind of come back on it again at the next meeting next month, or?
Yes, we can kind of keep this as a running topic on our agenda, and I will give updates as I get them, or if y'all have comments that you want to add, you can email me. You don't have to wait till the meeting, and I'll keep kind of compiling where we are with these different topics.
Very good. Thank you for being so very thorough with
Dr.
this.
Clark, I have a question.
Sure.
You said the decision was to wait until after the tax election?
I don't think that we did not make a formal decision to do that.
That's what I was
Were
wondering.
you at the last meeting?
No.
I'm sorry?
Were you at the last meeting?
No, it was not.
So the concern that arose is that if we open applications before we have a passed tax, then our candidate pool will be considering the fact that this is a position they're applying for that may not be funded and may not even exist. So, that's something we can reevaluate over time. I mean, I think we need, this is clearly I am working on this. I think we still need to be taking steps to be hiring a new director, but I don't know that we should be opening our applications until we have a better view of what is,
Could limit the applications.
it could limit, it could negatively impact our candidate pool where more serious candidates may not want to consider applying if they don't know.
I do have a question. On the director's salary that is shown,
Yes.
those are based on years of experience for each director, right?
Yes. Well, I don't know, actually, I can't tell you what each parish individually bases their salary on, because I don't know, but I have the statistical data that from the 2018 report that's attached, and it does have the year, that 2018 report has the year that director was appointed. The 2019 data that I received from the police jury does not have the year. I've asked the state library for an updated report from 2018, and I don't have that information yet.
So the process for determining the salary will be, how does that tie in with this board and the police jury?
I think that we set the salary, because we set our budget. Now, they have to approve our budget,
That's correct.
but we do set the salary, and this is just data for your consideration.
Right, I
This is
understand
not
that.
me forming an opinion on what the salary should be.
Good question. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Question.
Yeah.
Are there any libraries in Louisiana that don't have a certified director?
I can't answer that because they could have an interim director that is not certified.
Oh,
But actually, wait, yes.
Yes, there is.
Yes, there are.
There is.
Yes, there are, because the 2018 report actually has indicated whether they're certified by the state board, and there are parishes on this 2018 report that indicate they are not certified. Now, I will note that some of them that are not certified seem to have been appointed a very long time ago, and it's possible that certification requirements did not apply to them.
Well, a comment had been made earlier that it had to be certified.
Yes.
That's the question.
Well, I thought I was coming back from that by saying that the ruling came after the fact that that was a requirement for the certification from the state. And like you're saying, there were probably some that grandfathered in,
It's
didn't
very
have to have it, and that's why they don't have it now.
And it's possible that some of these parishes that have more early appointments, they maybe this is an interim person, maybe this is also somebody that got some kind of exception from the state board that they could apply for. I don't know of any exception or anything applying to us where our permanent director could be uncertified.
Could you check with the library, the state library board?
But I can confirm that with the state library, yes.
Thank you. Are there other questions or discussions for this? Again, we appreciate the thorough work that the two of you have done, and we do look forward to continuing on so that we can make this a very good research for us. Okay, then for the next item on the agenda, talks about the liaison committee formation. And I think I just passed one down to Teresa, and I'm gonna pass one down here on this side too. I think at the last board meeting, when we mentioned this idea,
Just one?
yes, this one. This idea was mentioned. Now, I'm looking at do we have enough? I think we have enough for the others. They got, did you get Teresa?
Oh, good. Okay, thank you.
Would you give one back to the press, if you don't mind? And to Doug? Myself? Caleb didn't get one.
I'll be all right.
Okay, like we said, that we mentioned this last time, but I thought it was necessary for us to come back and bring this back to the board to get the board approval. I might add that I have spent quite a bit of time trying to contact persons that have been recommended for various committees. And I must say that there are two on here we have not confirmed with. It's been very difficult getting in contact with, but I am almost certain that they're going to say yes to us in terms of what it is, our mission. What we're trying to do, we're trying to, as I said the last time, get smaller committees that can be able to provide advice in an advisory capacity. And now with the tax coming up, this is going to be even more crucial because some of these areas in here will tie in very much with the kinds of things that we need to know. And I must give credit to Caleb. Caleb, you did an excellent job a couple of weeks ago in your column when you said, here's what we need, here's what we're going to do with it, and here is the situation if we don't get it. All of that is still tied in with this. What I'm going to do is to try to come together and meet with each of these committees. I can't do it on a large scale because it's too many people, but I think I might group a couple of them together and say to them, let us focus on maybe one or two expectations from the committees. For an example, can I give an example? That first one up there says facilities, building, and grounds. We have two people from each of the two of the people on the committee are from the library, and 2 of them are from the board. And Charles, I need to have you to give me an indication of which one you'd like to serve on, if you don't mind.
Do I have? Okay.
You don't have to, but
No, I'm waiting on some other information.
Okay.
You and I will discuss it.
Okay, all right. Well, for example, facilities, building, and grounds. My thought is to come together and say, okay, members of this group, this committee, why don't you come in here and look at our library? I see Mr. Abbott is looking upstairs. Mr. Abbott, you're looking around in terms of the facilities here. We do know that there are some instances in here that we need to do a little more with. We have a couple of problems with the leakage. We have a couple of problems with tiles. We have some problems with the system for hearing and doing something. Come in, walk around, see what has to be done. Not only inside, but on the outside as well. Come back together as a group or a committee to talk, to discuss, to listen, to make suggestions and recommendations, and see what we can do to improve the library. Now, if nothing is etched in gold, as we're saying, this is advisory in nature, and we're hoping that from this we can do 2 things. We can get the people from the community to come in and see what's happening here, and we can also get the people who are in the library itself to be able to articulate back to them what it is that we are expecting and what we're looking for. That's what it is, and we've kind of like, I had together too, the last 2, I had the public relations and the marketing together, but I thought it was too many, so I divided it in terms of trying to get some people who've already indicated they are willing to help us. And we're going to take the suggestions that they give, their expertise, and see what we can do with it. Charles, you had a question you want to ask me about the committee?
No.
Okay. Can we have some discussions about the committees? No discussions?
Who is it that you haven't been able to get in touch with? Can you say?
Yes, I could say. One of them is, I called John Cadet, who has been very much actively involved with us from our meetings. I think he's the person responsible for Ponchatoula's and Log Cabin.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, he's been here quite a bit, and he wants to, I know, but it's been so difficult getting. I've left messages for him, but I'm gonna have to go into Ponchatoula to sit down and wait for him at 2 o'clock in the morning. All right? And the other one I have yet to confirm with is Judge Cynthia Woodard. That's one whose name was given to me as a possible. She's retired and might be able to do some things working with us. But for the others, all of the others have given their consent and saying that they are willing to work with us.
Right.
If you had a suggestion about somebody else, and you think I should, please let me know. I'll be happy to do that and research and see what else can happen in terms of whether or not I didn't want too many people on the committee to get the committee out of focus. So I was keeping it to a minimum of about 5 or 6 people. Questions, comments? Yes, Caleb?
I know I wasn't at the last meeting, so y'all may have discussed it. I just want to make sure I understand. Are these committees going to be like meeting in official open meetings?
Yes, they will, and you will be invited.
Awesome. Thank you.
You will be invited. We do nothing in the dark. We do all make sure everything is legit and open. And the more we do that, the better off. We're being transparent. The word gets out there. Other questions about the committees? So now I need approval from you. Can I get a vote in terms of going with the committees?
Can I be included on the acquisitions and purchasing committee?
How you know that's why I want to include you? I already said that to Debbie.
Psychic acquisition.
Debbie, didn't I say that?
Yes, you did.
I said it. Thank you so very much. Okay, we're gonna put Charles on this one. Anyone else?
I'm really pleased to see the separation of marketing and public relations. I think that's going to be really productive. I think sometimes marketing, people tasked with marketing and or people tasked with public relations they get tossed together as both, and they're really very different topics. So.
They are, so that's why I split it up too, I thought. Okay, anyone else? Is there another area that you see that you may not want to be on? Let me know, and I'm willing to change. Try to help you out and help us out. Okay, so may I have now a motion to approve the committees?
So moved.
So move, second, please.
Second.
Okay, second, move in second. Discussions? No discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you so very much. Very much. Okay, item after that, number 8, the Library Board of Trustee retreat. I understood that there was a young lady, a gal from Baton Rouge. Her name is Rebecca. What's Rebecca's last name? Tell me. Hamilton?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Rebecca called me during the storm. I have been trying to contact her. I heard that Rebecca does workshops for library trustees. No cost to us, no charge. She will come in and work with us in terms of saying the kinds of things that we as board trustees should know, the kinds of things that are happening in the state as it relates to the library, the changes that are coming back. When I spoke with her during the close down, she said that she would check her schedule and get back with us. But my suggestion is to be able to let her come in, and Caleb, we're going to invite you too, okay?
Okay.
To let her come in and talk to us and let us ask questions about how we can do our jobs better. We're going to invite people from the police jury because I think you all need to see to the kinds of things that they're asking and will get us to do our job just a little better. So when she contacts me as far as a possible date in her schedule, I'll get back and I'll let you know. And the retreat is probably going to be held right here in this nice facilities that we have. We can open up and we can do some other kinds of things. So look forward to that as far as coming in and just sitting down. I voted for about 3 hours. She said she can do 3 to 6 hours. I said 3 probably would be enough. Would you think so?
When will this be? You know?
She's gonna look at her schedule and then contact us. All right.
I like that idea.
Okay, you like it? Thank you very much.
I think it was with Rebecca, I'm not entirely sure, but I did a trustee workshop through Lafayette, but we had a couple different libraries around kind of come in, so it wasn't just for our library, and it was really, really helpful. So I think it'll be awesome.
I heard she has been very good. I think she did something for Union Parish not long ago. So the word is out that it's a very good. Thank you for confirming with that too. It would not be a waste of our time. Just we can learn some other kinds of things and find out how we can do our jobs better. Okay, next item on the agenda, Event Center Revisited. And I might add too, because I think I passed out to you the information on the policy for the Event Center. That has been a topic that has come up several times. It's been a topic that the public is concerned about. We're concerned about it too. And it probably would come under some other things too, when you're looking at some of these committees. What could we do looking at our event center? We know that there are some changes that could be made. We know that there are some other kinds of things that we may want to look at our.
Is this existing policy then?
Yes, it is. That's what we have, and I gave it to you earlier so you can see and give some input too. But for example too, and I might want to say that if someone asked me, why is it that we can't serve alcohol in the event center? The question and the answer to that I found out is that no parish facility buildings are allowed to serve alcohol. Am I right, Doug?
That's correct.
Not even champagne at the weddings, okay? So we can come back and put that off the list. Richard, did you hear me? And he knows why I'm saying Richard like that, all right? But those are the kind of things that we'd like to look at to say, what do we need to do to try and win that? Now, I would like to say and kind of confirm with you too, the fact that we're going to look at maybe opening up a little bit next month, March, April, I think it's April. I think the Lincoln Parish School Board has already requested something that they've had before, where they do their opening for their preschools, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's March.
It's March?
April.
April?
April.
It's April? Okay. But they have done it before because I think that they come in and we're probably going to work with them by that time to get it up and get back to the level. It's not that they're staying in here, they just go through at various stations and move. And we've already talked with them about the fact that we know that we have to keep our distance. We have to keep the kinds of things with security. So we're gonna look at that. Now probably be our major first one coming to say, we're coming back to doing the kind of things that we've done in the past. Question?
Are we unique in libraries by having an event center, or do others have it?
Others have them. I don't know to what extent, but I do know they have them. Other questions?
I know we're not ready to discuss this, but I just looked down through here and see one. I just want to throw this out. We'll discuss it later. If the parking lot can be used for parking only, no activities will be held there. You know, in the past, we've had some traveling art exhibits that are in an 18-wheeler that was set up out in the parking lot, so we can't have those anymore. Is that what that means?
I wasn't aware of that.
Well, I just, yeah, we've had some,
I think,
Disaster relief and.
disaster
Red
relief,
Cross,
yeah, and I
you
think
know,
they had some,
FEMA and all kind of other people.
yeah,
use
there's
it.
some, yeah.
Richard, were those associated with this center or the library?
Well, this
I understand what you're asking, but
parking lot, I assume it's.
it seems like that would be under the auspices of the library as opposed to under an organization in here.
Well,
Am I
the
right?
library operates this,
This is the library event center. The parking lot is both. It's for-
That's what I'm
it's both
saying.
buildings.
What he's asking would be under the auspices of the library, I would think. But what we're saying here is that you can't do that if it's an event center function. You
I
can't
don't
spill
know.
over.
That's what we need to discuss.
Thing
I
to
just
look
have to see it.
at. That's exactly what we're talking about, that we need to revisit and
We
get
need
some
to-
clarifications on.
Right.
So I'm very glad that you brought that up. There are a lot of things in there, I think, that we've already recognized that we're having some problems with. And if we make some kinds of adjustments, then we can do better by attracting the kinds of things that we want to come back into. Other questions for the event center?
I would just to kind of, with Charles' comment about are we unique in having an event center? And this is something that I wish, I think that the public understood sometimes too, because I think that is this kind of, this idea that, oh, well, we're very unique because we have this big event center attached to our library. But I really think that if you look at comparative libraries, and I don't have the data in front of you to tell you the square footage comparisons, we can certainly do that though if that would be helpful. But I really think that other libraries have very comparable amount of meeting space.
Yes.
Maybe they don't call it an event center, but it is comparative in meeting space and it is comparative in how it benefits the community. So I do wish that the public understood that better. I don't think that we need to like rebrand or rename the event center to accomplish that. But I do think that maybe it's just unique in how we that we call it an event center.
Right.
But I don't think it's really unique in the service that we offer.
Right, not at all. Everywhere I go, I visit every single library, any city I go to, I make it a point to visit their libraries. And almost all libraries have meeting space, they have space for programming, they have something similar to this. And I think it's misleading. It's like you're saying, we have the library and then we have the event center. No, we have a library with an event center. Library event center is part of this one big building, this Albertsons grocery store building. And it's just another service that we have, and we can do a lot of things with it, but it's part of the library.
And what you're saying would go back to this idea of can we have outside issues like you're talking about. If you're correct that it's one unit, then we're saying no activities in the parking lot. If we're saying there's two facilities co-joined here, that one can have it and one cannot have it. So that's going to have to be clarified, I think.
Yeah, I think we need to clarify. I think we probably mean like, hey, if you're having, an educational event or event center, you can't by default go set up a dunking booth in our parking lot. Probably is the intention of like you need to get approval for those type of things. So maybe we need to.
Well, legally, this is associated exactly with this policy, not with a library parking lot policy. So we'll need to clarify that.
Excellent kinds of comments that are coming up. This is what we're looking for too. Just clarify and straighten out so that we understand it and the public understands it as well. comments about the event center?
Do we want to, like, kind of assign a review of this policy to one of our committees?
Well,
Or we don't, or we can do that at a later time?
I think we probably could wait. I was thinking about part of it is with the facilities and grounds, but also I thought about what the others standing in terms of what? Public relations or marketing.
I don't know why you want to wait. I would say sign it to one, and let's get started. It's going to take a while.
Okay.
I think assign review of the policy to probably facilities, because, I mean, marketing is a little bit different aspect of, I'm telling people, like, how do we get people to use the facility? Like, I'm not as, marketing wouldn't be as, concerned with how they use it necessarily.
If they use it.
If they, okay. But I could be wrong, whatever you think, I don't know, what.
Well, let's hear some other discussions. Would you like them, Charles?
When the mayor was on the library board, prior to his running and getting elected there, he had a lot of ideas for the event center. I didn't make a list of them, I didn't take mental notes, but I remember he had a lot of discussion about it. In addition to what we're doing now, we could be doing this. So we could either invite him to address the board, or we could meet with him individually and find out what his ideas were.
That's a good idea.
I would suggest you give that facilities committee and they can invite or get feedback from other
Yeah.
people.
That'd be wonderful.
Shall I?
We could ask him when we get that facilities committee going, to let him be one of their guest speakers.
And this is gonna be under which committee?
Facilities and buildings and grounds. Because that's really what it was that I had in mind.
I noticed that Sandra's on facilities, if we get this underway in her, I don't know, interim of 1 month, she's not here, do we need to put somebody else?
Charles, why don't you switch to there instead of acquisitions? You want to be on facilities and building and grounds instead?
Say it again.
Would you like to
Why don't
be
you
on
switch?
facilities rather than acquisitions?
Or could you just serve on facilities, since Sandra will be kind of in this limbo state?
You would like me to serve on facilities?
And you can serve on two if you'd like to, Charles.
I would like to serve specifically on this committee, not necessarily the entire facility, building and grounds, but,
That is-
I can, I'm interested in it.
Okay.
I just
Well,
think this is-
why don't we do this? When we invite Hollinsworth for the facilities, you will be a partner with that in terms of coming as well.
Walker,
Where's the current
Say it
mayor?
over.
Lonnie Walker.
When he was.
Are you talking about Hollinsworth?
He's-
Which mayor were you
You
talking
said Hollinsworth.
I'm talking about Walker. He
Oh, I'm
served-
sorry.
He served on the
Forgive
library.
me. Forgive me.
Former mayor.
Okay, but I thought Hollinsworth also had some comments about, if I can remember correctly now,
about? Yeah, right.
because he approached me one time about that.
You can invite both of them one at a time.
I can invite both of them,
One at
the
a time.
current mayor and the old mayor.
Do you have the current financial status of this event center, and are we, I don't know how you judge it based on all of the things that are involved, is the event center technically making money or losing money, or do we know?
We do know.
The charges.
What is the answer?
We are not making any money now.
Not, well, without COVID, prior to COVID, were we
I
breaking
couldn't
even?
tell
Do
you
you know?
exactly, I wouldn't go on record by saying, because I really don't know.
Okay.
So I will wait and see in terms of bringing that back up and doing some work on that now. I know that there have been some people out there making some recommendations and looking at it for some other reasons, but we ourselves, we need to do it in-house. Does that make sense?
Well, in light of what you're saying, there was some police jury discussion about utilizing, is that still going or is that gone?
Ask Doug.
You're trying to get
Can of worms.
you're trying to get me to determine the conversations amongst individual police juries, and I do not go there. There's been no more official discussion among the police jury about that
That's the
topic.
question.
He
Official.
says there has not been any official.
As a whole.
Okay, thank you, I got that too, official. Thank you, Doug, for being so honest. But that's a very good idea. Charles will definitely put you on that with that. Current and old. Okay, any other discussion? This is wonderful. Comments about that? Is that, Jay?
Is that possible for me to say something?
Sure.
When A couple months ago, I reached out
Can't
to
hear you, dog, can't hear you.
a couple of months ago, I reached out to the Baton Rouge Library and talked to them about their career center. They had about 700 one-on-one interviews with people who had come in to get help writing resumes and things like this, and they had about 5,000 individuals that had borrowed materials. Now, I know that's Baton Rouge, very different from Lincoln Parish, but one of the things I keep thinking about is if we aren't able to pass the tax for the library, maybe what we should do is looking at how can we better serve other parts of the community. And if we utilize this space or part of it for something like a career center or doing job fairs for employers, where you could help community members build their resumes, cover letters, learn how to interview, and then bring in employers for a job fair, that would certainly show value for the library. I think you could look at other things such as sit-in yoga sessions for senior citizen communities or things like that. I mean, I think there would be ways to use the space that could serve communities in the population versus just holding an event.
Correct.
Well, I think it's available now.
I was about to say, I don't know why we have to wait until the tax. We can probably start looking at some of that now. I love the idea. You know, it's here to help us out because you're right. At the point where we are with these jobs and resumes.
We have your name?
That's Jay.
That's Jay Legon.
I can't hear you.
Jay Ligon, look
Oh,
on.
that's Jay.
That's Jay. He just got
Excellent,
matched
Jay.
up.
But don't go too far because you all want to commit it, Jay, so we're going to come back in terms of looking at something for that. I got it when you're on.
Love it.
Oh, excellent idea. Excellent. Okay. Next item, if you don't mind, library tax dates update. Did you get a sheet that we passed out here?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Richard, you gave me this, and I said I would bring it up to the board. This is what we're looking at as our tentative schedule. Right now, I think we're behind just a little bit, are we not, Richard? We got to kind of like,
No, we're not behind schedule.
We're not behind
This-
yet?
This is not a tentative, this is gonna have to be the schedule.
Oh, this is the schedule,
I
okay.
know,
That's correct.
this
It
is,
is the schedule.
That's the schedule.
This is the Bible, so to speak,
That's
that's what we'll
correct.
follow.
so it will come up at the jury meeting on March the 9th,
Correct.
but we don't have to set the millage and call for the election until
April
April
13th.
13th meeting.
April 13th,
So we got a lot of work to do between now and April 13th.
okay.
Or for the April 13th meeting. We really need it about a week before,
That's right.
so we can get it on the agenda, get it into work. So we need to,
Start working?
we need to start working on the budget, get that finalized, our plan, what we're gonna do, which we've done a little work on, but we gotta get serious.
Okay.
Did you say on the 13th of April
Yes.
will be a decision and announce the millage that you will be seeking?
Correct. Isn't that right, Bill?
That's correct. Dr. Clark, if I may, the March 9th meeting
Uh-huh,
is simply the general announcement that the election will be held.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The April 13th meeting will be the specific verbiage that will be put on the ballot, which will include the millage itself.
Okay,
So we need to have that ready about a week before, so we
Yeah,
can make sure
correct.
it's in the packet.
Usually,
Well, we'll need to get it, what we'll do is we'll need to get that millage amount to the bond attorney, and then they will get us the specific verbiage that we'll need to have in the resolution to pass that.
We need to shoot for the first of April to kind of get
Correct.
where we want to be.
I have
Is
a
that right?
question,
Yes.
Mr. Postel. How will the police jury come to that decision? Who will make that decision of the proper millage to be asked for? Considering the last one failed, what we asked for. How will that come about?
The police jury will vote to call the election to that amount.
Yeah.
But you'll make a recommendation, the police jury will vote.
That's
Is that right?
I think that,
That's the way.
stop me, Mr. Gerald, if I'm wrong here, I think that this group, for whatever means you determine you're going to do so, will determine how much revenue that you based on whatever budget you decide you're going to put forward. And then we will back into that with our calculations for the millage.
Right. But
So in
the
other
jury
words-
will, the jury will have to approve the millage just like they do when you renew it, like you did before.
So am I understanding, Richard and do we need to, within our home, start our little get-together with our little heads?
That's right,
But
yeah.
specifically for this, looking forward towards the March 9th or April 1?
April 1.
April 1, I got you. All right.
Yeah,
And I would think that too, this would be a very good opportunity for that budget committee, the finance committee,
Yeah, right.
that we can kind of get together and start looking at some perfect timing. As you can see, this is the match that's coming up in here.
So when is this board's meeting?
We haven't set a date yet, but it's gonna be sometime like, in March. Starting first week of March, first, second week of
For
March.
the finance committee or for our next general meeting, what are we asking?
I didn't hear first part.
Next,
Oh.
next board meeting, when is the next board? meeting?
Next board meeting will be March 17th.
March 17th.
That'll be the third
Third
Wednesday in March. So if we needed to set a finance committee meeting prior to that,
Before March.
Yeah, we'll have
17th.
finance committee.
Okay, we'll call. And by the way, I can just interject right here too, since we're talking about this, to let you know that we're thinking about it, it's on our plate. Last Wednesday, we had invited Laura Hart
Correct?
from the police jury to meet us being the budget person, the director, interim director, the assistant director, and the bookkeeper at Augusta, and Richard, and one other person, to look at our budget. We were supposed to have done it about another month back, but we got kind of like turned around a little bit. We are rescheduling that. She called me today. We're rescheduling that for March 10th. Her schedule's gonna allow us to sit down with her. My thing was to bring us together to let us look at our budget. We know the budget that we have out there, but we know some things that are not really in place and some things that we've done. And we're gonna have Laura to work with us for a couple of hours to just walk us through that. What do we have? Telling Laura what we think we still need. This is the very first part of this. And then seeing what we can do to come up to put the two together. March, what did I say, Richard?
March the 10th.
March 10th.
March 10th. That's when Laura's coming to meet with us.
So everybody might not know who Laura is, but Laura is not the interim treasurer, but she's doing the, what's her title of?
She is our contracted accountant.
For now,
accountant that's
yeah.
working with the jury. She was at one time the treasurer for the police jury a few years ago.
and Doug is our interim treasurer, right?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that's what I read in the paper.
I signed the paper.
Okay,
Laura does the calculations and I sign off.
okay. I wanted to clarify, so the April, not to belabor this, I'm sorry, but I just want to make sure that we got it right. The April 13th, the police jury calls the election. So we need to not only, before April 13th, we need to get our recommendation to the police jury, and the police jury will have also needed to have voted? Or do you
No,
vote?
that's what they're gonna do on April 13th.
Okay, just making sure, okay, because I wanted to allow enough time in there for them to meet to vote if that was the case, okay.
Good question.
Coming.
Okay. Well, we know we have budgets on our minds, so we certainly have to do it at this point. And I guess that's what's going into the very next item on the agenda.
Dr. Clark.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is, Dr. Clark, this is anticipation of an October 9 election, is that,
Yes,
okay, thank you.
October 9th.
And I did some research, I'm trying to put together a timeline, I'm not on the finance committee, but just for my own benefit, kind of a timeline of the history of our millage, piecing it together through, news articles. I don't have access to all this information, but I'll put together what I did find in the memo to the finance committee, if
Very
that's
good. Excellent. Thank you, thank you. All these folks who have big pockets and big minds, that's what we're gonna bring them together for the budget. Okay, anything else before we move on? Was there another hand back there somewhere? focal topic on budget and personnel. We've already talked about the fact that we're focusing on our budget. And we do know that our focus will also be on personnel. At this point, I think everyone is aware of the fact that we know that we're going to have to make some adjustments. Some adjustments will be made, some recommendations for our personnel. So those are the two areas that are at the spine of our periscope going around. So if you should hear it, you will know that that's basically what it is that we have to do. We don't have a choice. We have to slim back and cut down. So we're going to do some of those things within the next month or two in terms of trying to be able to say, we're going to get leaner and leaner. Because we have had to do that in our own budgets at home. So we're certainly going to have to do it with the budget here with the library. So we ask that you be up with us with that. And I know Teresa would probably like to say something about that. Would you, Teresa? Not really? Okay, any other? We've been working on it. That's what I would want to say. We have been working on it. Okay?
What does that mean? I mean, does that mean that we're gonna start laying people off in the next month?
That means that we're going to try to start looking at how we can do with less and combine some things. And if you want to save ripping, yes.
Okay, so in the next
Reduction
month,
in force.
in the next month, we can anticipate seeing layoffs.
Well, I don't know how soon, but we're looking at it.
Reduction in staff.
Reduction in staff.
Reduction in staff.
But
Whether
that's not the
that's,
only area
whether
we're
that's
looking at.
due to attrition or.
That's not the only area. That's the first area that we're doing.
It's the biggest.
Other questions? Reduction in force. All right, that's what they call us.
I have a question from a constituent.
Okay.
I'm not going to editorialize, I'll just tell you the question. The question is, how can a board member be recalled?
Richard, Doug, how can a board member be recalled?
You have to look at your policy manual and see if there is some sort of verbiage in there that addresses that. If I can do some research on that, I'll be glad to assist in that, but I can't answer that question off the top of my head.
Would you please, because I need to respond.
Sir?
I thought that was a function of the jury.
I don't think they can remove someone out unless they're, in their 5-year term. I don't think.
No, I think it's been done already over in Bossier.
Oh, we
It
can be
depends
done.
on their bylaws. too.
Has it
Their
been
bylaws
done,
are-
Doug?
Oh, it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah.
jury can do it.
The jury can do it.
That's what I thought.
The jury can do it.
It's
Yeah.
been done before.
I'll do a little research on
I
that.
remember. Because I want to say recently 3 board members have been removed.
One time, if I remember correctly.
3.
In this parish?
No, I
I
said
mean, that might
that.
be different, yeah, I mean, because they may have different policies.
That's probably the, what, that cattle parish?
It was Bossier cattle, right, area. Yeah.
I'm just
And they may
saying,
have some other different things too. Because I did find out something that was different over there than is over here. Something that I'm not going to talk about, but it certainly brought a
But
big.
if we don't have it in our policy, we would need to develop a policy.
Well, not necessarily. Let me look at both the revised statutes and the ordinances and all that and see what I come up with.
Yeah, it's set up by the
Thank you.
statutes, and you're probably going to have to look it up
Right.
by statute.
Thanks.
Are there any other concerns? Any other things that we'd like to discuss before we do? Question? If we have none, may I have a motion for adjourning?
Move.
So move, second? Move in second, all right, any discussions for us adjourning? None, may I have a yay for aye for yes? Aye, all in favor?